Welcome to the Radio Horror Show. I am broadcasting out of the WCSW studio, so it looks a little different than normal setup. Tonight, 5 days, no, a week till Christmas. I keep forgetting Christmas is on Sunday this year. We are talking about the only good Krampus movie. There are many films with this title. Nobody made a Krampus movie in Hollywood or even independently, really, until about 2015, and then we had a floodgate of Krampus films. But there's only one that was actually decent enough film, and it was by, of course, the acclaimed director of Trick or Treat, Michael Dougherty, who's gone on to big things now with Godzilla and other stuff that he's got coming up. Maybe a Trick or Treat 2. We'll talk about that one day if we ever get it. But today we're talking about the Yuletide joy of Santa's demonic brother, Krampus, which is always what he's referred to. There's a whole bunch of lore behind Krampus that you can easily look up. Krampusstitz was earlier this month in Germany, and a lot of places celebrate, like here in Salem, Massachusetts. But we're going to talk about this really decent CGI stop-motion fright fest of a movie with a pretty decent cast of people. Here with the Blonde in front of fear, wishing us all a Merry Christmas and Happy Yuletide, and to be good, because otherwise the Krampus will come down to your chimney.
Yes, scary Christmas to all, and to all a good fright. I am the Blonde in front of fear. Talk to you about Krampus, the movie that came out in 2015, directed by Michael Dougherty, and starring heavy hitters, Oscar nominees, Emmy nominees, Adam Scott, Toni Collette, David Kirshner, Allison Woolman, and one of my favorites, Conchana Farrell, who I believe passed away this year. Rest in peace to her. She was absolutely fantastic. I'm almost positive she did, because I remember her from, unfortunately, I remember her from that Charlie Sheen show. What is it? 3.5 Men,
Yep.
which was
Two,
one of my
two
favorites.
and a half men.
Yeah, 2.5 Men. That's it. But yeah, she's one of my favorites, and one of my favorites in this film. This has always been, since I saw this, I remember seeing this on that Friday it came out in 2015, immediately saying one of my all-time favorite holiday films because of the inner meaning that it has. From the get-go, you've got the Universal logo like covered in this icy coldness, which I think is incredible that they do that just from the get-go. You have a familiar song. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And unfortunately, it is the Christmas now, because what do you have? You have a department store that has people lining up like it's Black Friday, completely domineering and running, like actually running over, stampeding the people that work in the store, grabbing toys, grabbing stuff from other people's carts, ripping them apart, getting tased, punching people. This, unfortunately, is what Christmas is starting to look like now, more in modern times than in the past. And then you have our family that is in a holiday little show with the husband, Adam Scott, who is Tom, Toni Collette, who is Sarah, Max, who's in the show, beating up some kid or getting beat up. I'm not sure. His name is MJ Anthony. And then the daughter, Beth, played by Stephanie Levy Owen, who's videoing the whole thing rather than stopping what's going on. She's videoing it. And again, very much apropos of modern times. When they get home, you have the grandmother, Omi, who is baking cookies, which reminds me of my family. And it's just that Max, the son, who loved the kid, that he still has that Christmas spirit in him. He once, and the reason why he got into a fight is because there was some jerk who was telling the little kids that Santa didn't exist anymore. I'm not saying he doesn't, boys and girls. I'm just saying that this is why Max got into that fight. He explains this to his grandmother, who speaks to him in German. She loves the fact that he still has that Christmas spirit and nobody else does. Then the rest of the family comes in. His aunt Howard, his uncle Howard, his aunt Linda, and the great aunt who I talked about, Conchana Farrell, Dorothy, with their 4 kids. This is where there's certain similarities that I didn't pick up on. It was when I was doing this review, I never realized until I was rewatching this. There's a lot of this that reminds me of Christmas Vacation that I did not pick up on the first time I watched it. The whole thing, as soon as the relatives comes to the door, again, immediately reminded me of Christmas Vacation, and then at the dinner table. It's this disdain that the guests, who are guests in this family's home, they've known each other obviously all their lives, but it's just the disdain for the prosperity that this family has that their guests put on them. Like the uncle who, yay, he had glory days in high school, is making fun of the dad. He's talking about how he's going to get his son in shape to make him like 200 pounds for this football stuff. And he's totally putting down the dad. The great aunt is putting down the decorations and the food that Sarah, the mom, spent, many, many hours cooking and putting together. Like it's some bad thing that she wants the family to have, nice meals and make the place look nice. And actually, Toni Collette actually is one of the only ones who truly speaks her mind in a way that I'm like, thank you. Thank you for doing that. Because especially when you have family over, it's like you need to have a little bit. I mean, you can try and like jab and ha ha ha, everything's funny because we're family, so we can make up stuff like this. But there's also that level of respect that you need to have. And I love the fact that that movie shows that there's just a complete lack of respect. Like you're having people over, you're opening your home to them, and for them to like completely disregard like the effort that you made into making your home nice and making meals nice and doing something nice for these people. And it's like, well, I can't eat this stuff, and it looks like Martha Stewart threw up in there. It's like, just shut your mouth or don't come. I mean, that's the thing that I love that the writers did. It's like they're showing like the whole point of Christmas is to be with family. It's gotten to that point now where it's the presents and the I had to do this. I had to do this. You should appreciate this. Because I went all this way, blah, blah, blah. And like talking down to people who are supposed to be the ones that, you unconditionally love. And while they're at the dinner table, what happens? One of Max's cousins steals a letter he wrote for Santa. And in that, you see, it's like this kid, he's not asking for toys. He's just asking for stuff to be the way it was. He wants his relationship with his sister to be the way it was so they could hang out. He wants his mom and dad to love each other again. He wants his aunt and uncle to have an easier time. Like it sounds like, and you can tell from just the backfire of the truck that they probably are a little bit behind on financially what's going on. Yeah, he kind of knocks his cousins that his uncle wanted boys instead of girls, which knocks on them. And then it goes in this blowout where that was one of the things like, I mean, one, the fact that the cousin is able to go through this list that's on this letter that she stole kind of pissed me off. Actually, it really did piss me off because the fact that none of the parents, none of the adults at that time said, hey, knock it out, knock it off. What the hell are you doing? Get up from your chair, go and grab the letter and go and chastise this child. It's like, what the hell? Again, yeah, I was mad. And then what happens? Max is like, screw Christmas, screw the Christmas spirit, tears it up. And that's when all hell breaks loose, because then this evokes the spirit of Krampus. Because once you like lose that Christmas spirit, Krampus shall begin. I gotta say, the production design by Jules Cook, because once, I mean, everything is top notch. You've got everything inside the house that's very beautiful and Christmassy, and the decorations are amazing. But once Krampus starts to come, you've got the negative degrees, you've got all of the snow. And when Beth, the oldest daughter, wants to go to her boyfriend's house, she disappears. You see a little bit of Krampus, it gets scary. When the dad and uncle go to find her and they go to her boyfriend Derek's house, I mean, you guys did everything. It's just beautiful. It's like, it's scary. You can see that something went down the chimney. All of this detail into everything in Derek's house.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it is incredible. Not to mention the fact that each time Max looks out the window, you see a new snowman, which is basically an elf and all that stuff that is going to be some, or who knows, some kind of evil creature. Then when you've got when Howard the uncle and Tom the dad finally come back, they don't find Beth because Beth, unfortunately, spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie in 7 years, she's the first to go. You don't really see it, but then later on, again, it took me a little while that this little jack in the box that you see that Krampus left for her while she's hiding under a truck, that is going to swallow her. Later on in the attic, it kind of takes one of the cousins.
This one right here. I'm trying to find it in the blue screen. Oh, it's right there.
And I mean, the detail that they do with that. I mean, the Jack in the Box is cute and it's a little frightening. When you get to it up in the attic, it has grown to human size. It can totally swallow a complete human. And I mean, it kind of has that opening like they have in Guillermo del Toro's Blade 2 with the vampires, where like the
mandibles.
Open.
Yeah. Like the predator.
Amazing. I mean, the list goes on and on with production design. I mean, it just gets better and better and better. And each person kind of meets their demise. One thing I will note, though, because once the Krampus, once the little letter that Max, when he blows it out the window and all the pieces go away, and the world turns to this demonic hell frozen over kind of place. Living where I live, and Chris, I think you could probably know the same with the coldness. Once you have no power and you don't have any heat or anything like that, I feel like there should have been more. It should have been a lot colder, because when people go outside, you're going to be frozen. Now, I know Uncle Howard notes on that a little bit, but I feel like the colder, the more, the longer or more into the film it gets, it's going to just get colder and colder and colder. And I feel like you don't even need to have some of these creatures. I feel like some of these people would have just frozen to death within minutes because it would have been that cold. Yeah. But they didn't do that, which is fine. The art design, I would name everybody, but I think there's like 74 people. What they did with the look of Krampus, beautiful. The height, the tongue, the hooves. I love the fact that they didn't really give him eyes, which most of the images I've seen of him don't really have the eyes. When Omi kind of gives her like little German storytelling time and explains why Krampus has come and what has happened, I think that is beautiful, because then they go into this little cartoon scape that shows, what brought it on for her.
Yeah, it's like the cartoon in the Candyman fourth film that came out.
Yes,
very much like that. Or the beginning of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, had that same kind of like, okay, we got a budget and this is how we're going to escape having to do it. This is going to be a very cheap but fun animation style that fits the film. So, but most of the time they say that they're doing that because of the budget.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because when you think of Omi and when her time was, that was, I believe, after a war, no one had faith in Christmas or any sort of happiness at this time. Right. And now it's just the nastiness and the capitalism that's gone on with Christmas and gone away from like the joy of family and being together and what Christmas is all about. Omi meets her demise. Aunt Dorothy meets her demise without taking out. She takes out a few little creatures with her, which, by the way, all those creatures, great. There's some weird angel dove thing, a teddy bear with like these nasty teeth, and the gingerbread men. Yes. Those are the best and the funniest part.
Over there, wherever the blue screen is, right there. Yeah. They made all this stuff as toys too that you could have bought at one point.
Which, if I thought about it, I probably should have when I saw them. I think I know a few people who have them because I've seen them when they do their not necessarily nativity scenes, but their Christmas displays and all that stuff. And one
Mm.
person that I know, I think actually has a little gingerbread man, which
I remember the teddy bear was like $40. I was like, oh, I should have got that.
and yet I know it's at the time $40, like, oh, that's a lot. But now it's like, shit, I would have paid $40 now. Crap. That's
Yeah, it's probably worth a lot because there's no Krampus merchandise out there, people. Not for this film. There's
No.
nothing. Sam gets all the merch on Halloween, and he gets cups and plates and all sorts of stuff at Spirit. But I do not see Krampus merch hitting the stores at Christmas time like I do the Nightmare Before Christmas or the Grinch or anyone else has got like a darker theme to their Christmas. Krampus original artwork Christmas cards, yes, but not this guy.
Yeah.
That should be a money-making thing for whoever the studio is, Lionsgate or whatever it is.
Universal.
Universal. They should be pumping that making machine out every year with all these Krampus characters.
I know.
mean, somebody is sitting on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wondering if they have to pay Michael Dougherty and they don't want to do that because he might be the creator, so he's got something in his contract about it. Who knows? That's always a thing, and that's the big thing that is causing problems these days. But that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, it's Universal and Legendary.
Okay, yeah,
And that's the thing. I mean,
they might
everything about Christmas is supposed to be about giving and sacrifice, as they know in the film. And it's only until you have to sacrifice yourself and give your life that's when the family actually does that. There is a certain point in the film that also has a reference to Goonies. There's something about Omi, and when she's talking about stuff, and they ask like, how much did you hear? And Aunt Dorothy says enough. And I was like, dang, that's like straight out of Goonies, which again, did not realize when I was watching this, only when we were doing the review. I think everyone's demise is very I think everyone has a very solid, I can't really say death because you don't necessarily see them die. They just go away or they don't come back, but they definitely have met something with Krampus, except for Stevie, who ironically, since Stevie's the one that and I'm gonna blame this on her. I mean, yeah, the whole family's not really that great because Dad, I feel like, didn't really step up until the very end when he like had the gun and was like doing stuff. Because I mean, he could have been a little bit firmer. I think he was kind of like, oh, let's figure this out sort of thing. It's like you can put your foot down and like say some stuff. I mean, I don't know. I have a little bit of critique on that, but when Max wants to sacrifice himself for Stevie is the one who is the perpetrator of kind of the whole reason why Max tore up the list. She's the one who was reading it out loud. She's the one who stole it from him. So it's ironic that she is the last one to survive, and then also that he wants to sacrifice his life for, because he blames himself that this is the reason why everything's going on. And it's like what Omi says at the end. Omi says he left me as a reminder that when hope is lost and belief is forgotten and the Christmas spirit dies, that's when Krampus will return or come and destroy everything.
By the way, this film was released the weekend that you mentioned because that is the weekend of Krampusshtit. It was it was coincide with that too. And the other when you mentioned the song, the Carol of the Bells was twisted to mention. They replaced the certain words in there in the same way it's sung as like the Krampus is coming and warn of his coming.
Yeah,
part of the Carol of Bells, wherever they it's something harmonious, they twist it around for the coming of Santa's big brother.
Yes, and that's at the end of the film where they have it in German, and at least you can see it in some subtitles if you have it on Peacock. Look,
right. Yes,
this film has Big Nick energy. I love it. I still love it. I love that everyone, at least all the male, the adult stars, not male, all the adult stars went on to do many different things. A lot of the kids, though, I feel like didn't do much. I know the actor who played Max, he's done a number of things. What is it? He was actually in the what is it? MJ Anthony. He's been in stuff with like Mom's Night Out and stuff like that, or that thing with Mila Kunis and stuff. He's been in a few things. He was in the Jungle Book. He was in Chef. Oh, Bad Moms. He was in Bad Moms, and he's in Physical. But a number of the other kids, they really didn't do much after this. One, the actress who played Stevie, I see she was in something before this, and then this, and then that's it, which is unfortunate because I feel like the cast is solid. Like everyone does an amazing job. And this is honestly one of my favorite. I mean, with Violent Night that came out this year and a few others, this one has it's like 7 years ago, has not faltered. All the effects, all the production, all of the acting still holds solid. And I don't see that faltering in the next 10, 15 years or if ever. So go watch it. Again, one of my favorite Christmas holiday films, and really is something that I think the whole family should see to really show what the true meaning of Christmas is. And it's not all about the commercial things, but it's supposed to be about being with family and, you know, spending that time and, you know, appreciating what you have, because you don't know how long it's going to be. And honestly, that could be a little somber moment, but that's what it's supposed to, you know, appreciate your family and what you have, because you never know when it's going to go away.
If you want more of this Krampus universe, even though there's no sequel and does not need a sequel, this film can stand alone by itself. There is a Krampus comic book tied into this universe, Shadow of St. Nicholas, put out the same year as the Trick or Treat Tales comic book, which gave a lot of people hope that we were going to get a sequel all of a sudden. That no, it's just a bunch of little tales in there. And it's written by Michael Dougherty, so it is from his pen that this comic book comes within this universe. A lot of people love it. It's kind of like an anthology tale of different Krampus stories. I think we get a bit more of Omni's background a bit, but we just get other times that Krampus shows up and shows you what happens if you don't, do the spirit of Christmas. It's very funny we're talking about this because on the Santa Claus's television show, Tim Allen's character kind of loses the spirit of Christmas and then goes to the dimension of multiverse Santa Clauses, and there's a Krampus there. And it was kind of fun to see. And I'm just like, why hasn't the Krampus showed up in the Tim Allen stuff? Oh, here it is, but he's just a background character as just another, like, oh yes, this is a Santa, just like all the other Santas, including the Santa before Tim Allen, the one that fell off the roof. So it's there, but I don't know they're going to do anything with him just yet. But we'll have to see if we get a season 2 of that. Only watch this movie. There are dozens of Krampus films out there. I have tried to watch them. They are terrible. They are not good. The special effects are PlayStation 1 graphics at best. They're never usually people in suits. This was a guy in a suit with like a little bit of CGI used where it needed to be, but otherwise they use practical stuff. Go find the Scream Factory Blu-ray. It's in 4K. It's called the Naughty Edition, but there's not much added in for like deleted scenes, so don't think you're getting like an extra half hour of new footage. But it's got the commentary on there from the previous Blu-ray. We hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and checks out the rest of the reviews here.
Actually, I will say another Krampus that is actually very good that did come out also in 2015. You can find it on Shudder now. Is A Christmas Horror Story, which is an anthology that does have a segment with Krampus in it, and that one actually is almost up to par with this one. I feel like this movie is much better with just the story of the family, but with A Christmas Horror Story you do get a really good Krampus, and also the whole thing with families being together and different segments of different Christmas little tall tales and folklore that comes out, and William Shatner's in it. So
is that the one that Krampus is fighting Santa Claus on the cover of the DVD?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I have seen that. That's not too hard to sit through. I didn't say it was good or bad. I just said it was not too hard to sit through. But yeah, there is even a Mrs. Krampus, which is just like, okay, now we're getting ridiculous. I would love to go to Germany one day and partake in the Krampus festival. Krampus is going to show up again in one of my favorite comic books, Tarot Witch of the Black Rose, and he does exactly what he's supposed to do. He kidnaps children and is going to kill them, but Tarot Witch of the Black Rose shows up to save them. She is a independent female comic book character. His weapon of choice is reeds, and he whips people with them, so they got like lashes all over them and stuff. Yeah, no, it's a mature content comic book, but the Christmas issues are always fun. And Krampus seems to be like in every single one. But check out the rest of the reviews here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel and on Katie's the Blonde in the Blonde in Front on her Facebook page, and what your YouTube channel is.
And the Blonde in Front on YouTube, Blonde in Front on Instagram. So always Blonde in Front.
Cool. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next year with the next exciting movie that we review will be up at some point.
Happy holidays!